Hello, everybody, and welcome to Paranormal Nation Radio Show. Not so normal. How's Denise and Rhonda? There's Nigel. We missed him last
Hey,
week.
Nigel.
Glad to see you're here. I hope everything's well.
Yeah, we was worried about you and everything because usually you're the first one in as the show starts, but we didn't see you in there. So, yeah, we was a little worried.
So, yeah, we're good. We're having a heat wave, and for everybody who was concerned about the hurricane, we didn't see anything, which I told you that last night, but we didn't see anything. We did go to the beach on Sunday. I got tossed around like a dead fish. I'm still getting sand out of my hair. He's still getting sand out of his ears.
And getting his boo-boo, you getting your boo-boos fixed up, both of you?
Yeah. Oh, I didn't get any.
I thought you had one on the side of your leg.
Lauren got it.
Him and Lauren.
Oh, Lauren got it.
Yeah. But I will say that 3-foot step to get up on the beach, that was the bigger problem. Because you'd step and the whole beach would fall down.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how long will it take that beach get back to normal where it's flat
probably
out?
Pretty fine. That was during high tide.
Yeah.
So more than likely somebody came through with a plow and
probably graded it.
Yep.
Oh, really?
So, and if not, it'll probably be fine next time we go. But we've seen it like that before.
Mm-hmm.
In the
not that much,
but in the wintertime, we've seen it like that. He'll be walking up here and I'm down here, and then we all come together somewhere. But yeah, it was nice as far as, but the water was like 90 degrees. It was like taking a bath.
Oh, nice and warm.
So if you have sore muscles, it's a great place to go.
I was getting ready to say that, boy. I'd made a sauna out of that just real quick. Just sat in there and went,
it felt like.
You couldn't sit there because you'd have sand in your shorts.
Well, yeah.
Because I tell you, I take off the swimsuit and there's so much sand. It's in everything. You know, they say sandblasting. But I don't understand how these women can wear these swimsuits with the whale tail, and because maybe that's it. Maybe if you wear that, you don't have any place for the sand to hide, and it just goes away.
It might be, but yeah,
it's a terrible
next thing
problem.
you know, you end up with a sand rash. So, yeah.
Well,
hey Gary,
he's got it basically from the sand. He's got a boo boo. So, but right now we got a couple different jellyfish that are bad. So, but it's Monday through Friday. So Monday through Friday, we don't really go to the beach unless somebody special is here, like Rosalie or a cousin or somebody comes to visit. Then we might go to the beach during the week. But during the week, it just doesn't happen.
Right.
Real life kicks in. So, but speaking of real life, I got a real life friend people. I have friends. We got real life friends coming on the show like we did last night. Not an AI guest.
Oh, yay!
There's nothing about Holly that's artificial, and if I said the other part, that would be really bad.
Yeah.
But nothing about her is artificial. Everything she is 100% real, and her intelligence is way above a lot of ours when it comes to all the things that she knows. So I asked Holly Mullins to come on the show, and we had her on not that long ago, but I wanted you guys to find out what she's been doing since the last time we had her on. So welcome, Holly.
Hi, Holly.
Yes, thank you for having me. I love you.
I know. I just wish that, any one of those hundreds of times I had been in Pikeville that we could have met up. But one time I know that when I was there, your grandpa was sick.
Yeah.
And so you couldn't do it. And the next time I think I came down, my mom was sick. Yep. And then the next time my mom had died. So, sometimes it's just not, it's just not in the cards. No. But, we've met other places.
Absolutely.
So we're good.
Yeah.
Exactly. Distance don't mean shit.
Are you planning on doing any events this year where we can meet up maybe?
So the only thing that I've got going on for the rest of the year is September. I have a retreat that I'm hosting. This year has been big in my world. A lot of changes. So it's just I put everything on the back burner and been focusing more on right now. Currently working on my tiny house and working on my future vision for a healing center here in the mountains.
So give me a little bit more information on this healing center. Your vision.
My vision, my calling, it's there. So initially spirits led me to open a healing center or a community, a place where people can come and learn about healing, a place where people can come and learn about gardening, self-sufficiency, things that give back to the soul. And that's for anyone. Spirit has, you in your life, you always wonder what your purpose is. And I'm so grateful to be able to know what part of my purpose is, and that big purpose is something that I'm pushing toward and forward to, because why here in the Appalachians, first of all, these are very ancient mountains. It's a place where I grew up. They're comforting and they're very healing. And then second of all, also toward the Appalachian people, but for anybody, because as well as I do, Denise, we grew up, we're very forgotten part of where we're at. And so people think of Virginia, they think of Virginia Beach, they think of Roanoke, they think of the other side of Virginia, but they don't think about where we're at. And so it's an area of a lot of trauma. It's an area which, it's all over the place. We have generational trauma, societal trauma, individual trauma, but here in the Appalachians, it's a place of traumas, but it's also a place of resilience. It's a place of overcoming things. And it's a place of, this is what we have. It's our earth. It's our jungle in America, the Appalachians here. And it's a place where people can come and get away and have peace. And something that I've learned over my travels, the years of traveling, is that you don't find that easily. You don't find it easily. That peace, that quiet, that being able to go outside at night and to look up at the stars and actually see them and not hear the interstate in the back or, traffic or, we're blessed here. So that's something that I've really gave over, I guess you could say, because everybody that lives here fights staying here. Some of us don't leave, some of us don't get out, and some of us do leave and never come back. So I was one of those that left and came back and decided to see it, differently, to heal them parts of myself, because here, being forgotten, you see a lot of poverty here. And not only just poverty, it don't have to be that way. So I have this knowledge that Spirit has blessed me with and opened myself up for my own healing, so I can be that light for other people and show them that this is not the life that you have to continue to live. This is just cycles that you're living through. And so let's heal the world. That's what we're doing. So initially an intentional community with a healing center. I have big plans. I have just big ideas, and my big thing is just bringing it all together, but taking care of myself first, because that's the important part, because I've made a lot of sacrifices in my life. I have made a lot of choices to choose me in my life. And so that's part of my trail of preaching, is telling people to love yourself, to choose yourself enough to know that healing that you will do in your lifetime can make your life 100% better. It can change your life. It can change your perspective on everything. So yeah, I'm very, very headstrong into this.
Yeah. And I agree. That part, Eastern Kentucky, that weird part of Virginia, and then that corner of West Virginia.
Yep.
It's all like a different country. I mean, I tell people all the time that Kentucky is like 3 different places.
Yes.
You've got this part, Louisville, Lexington, that's one part.
Yeah.
And you go east of Lexington, and Eastern Kentucky is so totally different.
Yep.
And then you got the southern part that's not part of the eastern part, but that southern part that goes over to Missouri. That's even more different.
It is.
And there's no good way to get across the bottom of Kentucky.
No, there's not.
Never has been. I mean, it's not that big of a state. You can get in and out of it in no time, but you go that southern route, you're not getting out, and you're going to see some weird shit.
Yes, absolutely. I agree with that because I've been all through there in different ways that you could go through Kentucky. And just, I live right at the line. So I'm in Eastern Kentucky. And so you might as well, like you said, West Virginia, that part of West Virginia, us here on the side of Virginia and like the Kentucky side and a little bit of Tennessee, the upper part of Tennessee, we're all in that pod together. So it's a different breed of people. And it's you think of the Appalachian people and some of the things that they've put out over the years about Appalachian people. It upset a lot of us here because not everybody is like that here, but it is part of poverty trauma. And that means that you grew up poor. So instead of striving to do better in your life or realizing that you can do better in life, you fall into that entrapment of I can't do better. So a lot of people have that mindset, and it's all over the place. It's just not here, but here it's worse because our cost of living is very low, but there's no jobs, there's no resources here.
Right.
I always told people that area was the home of the $8 an hour job.
Yes, absolutely.
And I know I told you that once.
Yes.
People there.
Yeah, unless you're in the coal industry, they're really
right.
And how many coal plants have they shut down?
A lot. There's not many going. My dad is, he's still going. He's a strip miner. He runs heavy equipment and has always. But it's almost completely gone. And I understand the environmental part of it. Don't get me wrong. But you can't take these jobs away from men who didn't get educated in other things. They're old school. They come from a very hands-on kind of experiences. You can't put them on a computer. And they're not meant to be on a computer. But my whole thing, my perspective of this is, and this goes deep, it starts with the schools. When you get into school, they only teach one mind. And as humans, we have two different minds. We have a person who is more left brain dominant, and we have people who are more right brain dominant. The school systems are not set up for right brain dominant people. And not to say that we can't use both sides. Absolutely, we can. But what we're taught is just like, especially the old school guys, this is unbelievable to me. Think about this. They wouldn't let the older generations use their left hand. They would make them use their right hand. I
remember that.
They would smack them. They would put mitts on their hands. They would make them use their right hand. Why?
Yeah, they would tie their hands to the desk in New Jersey.
Yeah. That's ridiculous to me, and nobody thinks about that. It's because they're training you to be like the whole mass collective. But there's two different types of people in the brain activity when it comes to the collective of people. So we are teaching kids memorization and academics when we should be teaching kids, like if they're drawn to that, let them go into that. If they're drawn to more hands-on things, let them go to that. The trades, we need trades, we need people, we need that more than ever. That's what I grew up with. That's how my family is, but it's just, it's sad to me to watch how as a society, we have been left to our own devices and we have fucked it all up.
A lot of us have been pigeonholed.
Yes, we have, and lied to, y'all. And here we got such mass energy, and it's negative energy. And you got people fighting, you got people arguing, you got people. There's all kinds of negativity that floats around. Don't get me wrong. I know there's negativity here, but that ain't the goal as humanity. As humanity, we should be united. That is the ultimate goal, and that's what I've been taught from Spirit, because it has nothing to do with anything but bringing the people together, and that is in community, and that is big because that's what we're seeing a lot. I channeled some messages from grandmother. That is a spirit that I connect with, a very big spirit that I connect with. So I have channeled messages, and I have channeled them years ago before things unfolded. That's unfolded in the last 4 or 5 years. And it blew my mind, because all I am is just an open vessel. And all I am is someone who chose to heal themselves and to see and to understand myself, because we're all capable of this. Like what we're seeing in this world right now is an evolution and a revolution. And it's the evolution of consciousness, because here we've been walking around not knowing who we are, and lied to and told who we are, because they don't even really know who we are. So
no, they don't want us to be individuals.
No, they don't.
No, absolutely.
They want us to be this cookie cutter.
Yes.
Make
Absolutely.
everybody the gingerbread person.
I wouldn't advise anybody to go to college. I mean, nobody. I'd just say go to a trade school.
Yes, absolutely.
We need plumbers and HVAC people. And
you can go to a nurse if you want to be a nurse. You don't have to go to a 4-year stinking ass college.
No, and let me tell you something about that. If you're chasing money, that's the problem. People chase an American dream that we've been fed, and it's bullshit. And people like stress themselves to death. What we have been indoctrinated in is a 9 to 5. You work your ass off until you die, and you can retire maybe when you're about to die. So you really don't get to enjoy your life. So I've watched my dad work his ass off his whole life. He's 63, so he's got 2 more years till he can retire. So he's like, I'll retire. I'll in 2 years. In 2 years, I was like, yeah, in 2 years, Dad. In 2 years. Like, this is ridiculous. This is not the way it's supposed to be. It really, truly is not supposed to be like this. I know
how long
that.
has he said 2 years?
For a long time.
How long has he said
for
2
a long time?
10 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
I mean, I know how all this stuff goes.
Yes.
My mom ran a coal trucking company.
Yeah.
So your dad could have been the one scooping the coal out, and my mom could have been the one that had the drivers driving it across the mountain.
Yeah.
Yes.
Doing that. I mean, my grandfather was a coal miner.
Mm-hmm.
I doubt not a lot of people know what a tipple is, but we do.
Yes, we do. Yeah.
We know what it is.
And we need coal.
And we know what it's like.
We know it works.
To owe your life to the company store.
Yes.
And people go, that's not real. Yes, it is.
Yes, it is real. It is real.
It was real for my mom when she was growing up. I remember going to these towns where she had lived because they went where the coal was.
Yes.
And when they got a strike of coal, they needed the workers and they got them in there. I lost family members to coal mines that collapsed.
Yes.
In West Virginia and Virginia. And I know this from firsthand experience. I remember hanging out in coal mines and walking through them as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
Well, young teenager. It was cool back then.
Yeah.
But, you look at this and you wonder, you're looking at the trailers and the houses hanging off the side of a mountain. And the only thing you can say is that first step's a doozy.
Yeah.
And you see this and you go, how can people live like this? And the thing is these are the people that will give you the clothes off their backs if they think you need it.
Yeah. Very salt of the earth people, but very ignorant. Very ignorant. And I say that and not in a demeaning way, but in a lack of knowledge. And that's a big one, because as someone, as who I am and living here, don't think I haven't come across opposition, because they like to talk about their haints and haunts. But when you start talking about different things, and if you're like me, I'm like, I'm a witch. I'm who I am. I'm very connected. And whatever what term you want to use, it doesn't matter. It's still who I am. People will call me whatever they want to call me. Have I been? Because it's a lot of ignorance. But we have ignorance as a whole, because, you really think about it, you would think that we would be more, I guess the evolution would have hit sooner to me. And I guess, I don't know why, I guess because I've been hit with this opportunity to open myself up for this information where I'm like, oh, but why is this like this? Ever since I've been a little girl, I've questioned everything. I used to stand outside and look in the yard and just look up to the sky. And I would try to think about how the world worked. I would give myself headaches. So as an adult, I look back and realized that I was a very, very sensitive kid. And I was in touch with everybody and everything. And it wasn't right to me. Nothing's ever been right to me. So I have, I have struggled in my journey to understand the balance of that and how I can't control that. But what I can do is I can walk and lead by example and find my people so we can, as a whole, light this world up and make some changes, because it has to happen. It's volatile. It's coming to a very big peak and it's about to erupt. And so, from what I've been told, and it's not scare tactics or anything like, because I'm not selling anybody anything, but it's for real. It's something that's very real, is that what's about to happen, a lot of people are going to get very uncomfortable. And then they should learn everything that they can, and especially about being self-sufficient, because we're about to be shown grace and people are going to learn compassion, because we have a whole world with a lack of compassion for other people, and very butthurt people. I have never seen such butthurt people. Like, I'm like, wow.
Thank you, Facebook.
I know the guy who book about that.
I'm like, man, I say Betty White it. I tell them, they said to grow balls. I said, no, grow a vagina. It can take a beating, honey.
I mean, when it comes right down to it, I agree. I think that the world is open for an awakening, and it's not the one that they think is coming.
Yeah. No,
they are going to be shocked as shit when it happens.
Yes, it is, because everybody's expecting it to be physical. We are in spiritual warfare, but it has nothing to do with religion. It's an inner turmoil that we have to work through individually. Everybody wants to change everybody else, but they don't want to look in the mirror at themselves. The truth is, we're all connected. We're triggers for each other. When we look at each other, we're mirrors. So what you see in other people that you don't like, you might as well look at yourself and understand why you don't like that in someone else, because that is you. So in my belief, in my understanding, we are all God. We are all God. We are a reflection of God. So if we would realize that within our brains, and except for, and stand back and let go of what we've been taught. Because I just mentioned this, I done a TikTok recently, and I said, just because you have been taught it, don't mean it is the truth. That is the problem. That is a big problem, because what happens is, even back in history, and I think of this, this is the thoughts I have in my head. I'm like, I need somebody to talk to sometimes,
Here we are.
Urban away. I'm like, I need to talk to somebody. But no, so you really have to look at it from the perspective of, here I am, I grew up and just looking at the world from a different perspective. And we all did. And we all thought we were safe. And, what we had these rose-colored glasses on, and we were blinded because we were told in school how to be, and how to act, how to feel, and based on your household. So it's not just generational. That's why I said it's not just generational, it's societal. As a society, we have our traumas, and they're still playing out. They're still playing out so deeply, and they're in every community, in every race, and every, it doesn't matter. It's all playing out. And it's time. It's time. And like I said, it's volatile. It's coming to a time where the cycles have to end. If you look at your life, you can pick out your cycles. Well, think of it on a bigger scale. We're playing out things in history that's been played out over and over and over. How many times are we going to do that before we become aware and stop it?
Right. Because it's kind of like what they say about how many times are you going to do the same thing over and over again and realize it's not working.
Yes, exactly.
And I do believe that people need to look at themselves and figure out why they are so hateful to each other. And, you'll never, if you hear me say something about somebody, I've thought about it.
Yes.
I've thought about it a lot.
Yes.
And it's something I can't change about that person. But if it's something in me, I'm changing it.
Absolutely.
But like, for an example, this morning, I got mad. I got really mad. And at these stupid, close-minded people.
Yeah.
Not stupid, ignorant. And they're blaming all the people who moved here into existing homes. The house was built, we bought it brand new, okay?
Yeah.
But they didn't tear down the property and put this house here because I asked them to. It was already here.
Right.
So I sent a message back to these people and said, I came here fully employed. I'm now paying into the tax system here.
Right.
I brought my vote with me too. And these people are bitching about the roads and all these people, everything that they say. If you ask a question, if you say anything, their answer to everything is move. Well, I did move. I left Kansas for a reason, because I didn't like it there, because I was being pigeonholed with people who didn't think like me.
Right.
So I moved to a place where I think people are going to think more like me, and they're being assholes.
Yeah, because assholes are everywhere. And it's everywhere. Ignorance is everywhere. And the only thing that you can do is change your perspective on it. And that's what I've learned, because people used to irritate me, and I used to react. And I think that's the biggest thing, is not to react, to let people be ignorant, because you can't change someone's mind that don't see it like you do. So that's a big problem.
I just need to get by some corks. I just need to buy some quarters.
It's ignorance. It's like we want, we want people to see it from our perspective, and they can't. And that's a big problem that we have as humans with each other, is that we want to fight back and forth. And what good does it do, really, honestly? But make you pissed off and in the negative mindset, and it changes your vibration. So
that makes you sick.
Yeah, it does make you sick, because you're taking on, it's just ridiculous. Something that I've learned hugely on my path is that you let them. That term right there is huge, and it represents so much, and it says so much, is to let them. Because if you're reacting to someone else's hell that they're in, because hell, people, is a mindset, okay? That is a mindset. We put ourselves there and we project it. So that's what we're experiencing, projections of people's hells, which is right here in their minds. And it's all of us. We can put ourselves in our own mental hells, and we do all the time. We're all guilty of it. Because again, this life didn't come with a manual, and the manual that everybody said that we had was bullshit. We were lied to. That was man right there. That's man. Spirit, God, whoever you connect with, is in here. We were never taught to go within. We were never taught to trust ourselves. We were never taught to get the answers from here, our compass, our heart, our mind. We couldn't trust none of it. So it became prison. This was a prison. This is a prison for so many people. So what we need to be teaching people is the opposite of that. You need to trust how you feel. You need to honor what you feel. And, people pleasing, it's ridiculous. But yeah, life didn't come with a manual. But what I can tell people is to go within, because that's where it is. That's where the answers are. That's where your connection with the higher power is. That is where you find it all. But you have to trust yourself. That means you have to work through your shit. Most people don't want to work through their shit because they don't think there's anything wrong with them. They don't want to change because they don't think there's anything to change. And that is ego. And that is the biggest opposition that anybody will ever go against in their own life, is their ego.
So who are your customers going to be? When you're talking about this, if they don't recognize that they need healing,
they ain't supposed to be coming to me then. It ain't my thing. And that's what's different about me. My goal is not about customers. My goal is to what spirit sends to me. And spirit, I've given over in the universe because I don't have a regular 9-to-5 job. I quit my job years ago because I couldn't do it.
I remember.
Yeah. And trust me, I had a breakdown when I did it because I was like, how am I going to do it? How am I going to do it? Well, let me tell you something. The biggest number one problem in everyone is that we have, because of the things that we've been taught, we have fear. And when we heal, it is in layers. Nobody heals once and that's it. You're done. No, honey, it don't work that way. It's layers. Once you undress one thing, you undress another, and then another, and then it gets deeper. And then you start understanding more about yourself. And it is that easy to have that thought and say, why do I feel that way? Like that, and heal yourself. Absolutely. It's thoughts, it's perception, and it's a you. It ain't about anybody else but you. We have a big, huge lack of boundaries that people don't know how to implement. I still have to work on those because I'm a people pleaser and I love people. I'm just a pure loving person. And I, for one, have been taken advantage of many times by people who didn't really mean to, and then some that meant to. But, you got to learn to trust yourself and to act accordingly to what you're feeling.
Exactly. It's kind of like what Santiago Sorello, a friend of mine, the actor, says. You tell people your negativity will not break me.
No, because that's someone's hell they're casting upon you. And so many times that I've been in friendships and even around family that just casted so much negativity, I couldn't take it anymore. So instead of reacting to them, I disconnected. And that's what you have to do. And that's hard. That is so hard.
I told her to do. I said, quit reading that crap.
Yes, exactly.
You're arguing with idiots.
Yes, exactly. Do not give your energy away. Do not give your energy away.
She'll read that stuff and then start yelling at me. I'm like, what'd I do?
Nothing. Yeah.
She'll be in a bad mood the whole day.
Yes, exactly. And that's not good. That's not okay. That's not normal. And that's what society has taught us. And that's what we do. I see it everywhere. I see it. Even if someone comes at me with a negative Because when you go to social media, when you become like a public figure, a lot of people have eyes on you, and then you have a lot of trolls. Well, if you engage with those people, you're just engaging in their world of negativity.
Yeah, that's what they want.
Yes, exactly. That you are giving them what they want. And so I have this habit of blessing everybody. I'm like, bless your heart. And anybody that knows when I bless your heart, it's either because I really do care and I hope that everything goes good. And the other one is bless your heart, honey. You're, good luck. Good luck.
Yep.
Exactly. I mean, it's like you said, it's the way we've all been taught.
It is. And
what they want us to do. They want to keep us in one path.
Yes.
And if you go outside the path, they give you negativity all the time.
If you color outside the lines, then you can't color. If your body is not like the ones that are on, and even for men, women don't even, since I'm with the men right now, sorry guys.
That's
and
all
even
right.
I've had the opportunity because I love my men friends. I love my men friends. And as a woman, you ain't supposed to do that. And like, especially the way I was raised, and because you were a sloozy if you hang around men, whatever. I'm like, no, I'm like best friends with men because first of all, a lot of women have insecurities, and I just don't get along with a lot of women unless they're older because they're more mature. They don't see me as a threat. But I have seen inside of both women, the way that women work and the way that men work. We all have insecurities. Men show theirs differently. Men in society has been taught to be a certain way, to act a certain way. Because if not, then you're not masculine. Then you don't reach that. You know what I'm saying? I see both sides of it for the feminine and the masculine. So I do want to put that in there because I don't just want to make it about females, but we all have been, really put in this positions to want to be something that someone says is beautiful or is the right way, or you know what I'm saying? It's ridiculous to me. It's you have to really stand back outside of yourself. You have to stand outside of yourself and view your life in another perspective, and then be okay to break down your own walls. And I was able to do that, and I think that's the biggest thing that I can tell anybody out there to heal themselves, to change their world. If you have negativity in your life, you're not supposed to. If you're sad, you're not supposed to be. And no amount of pills or medication is going to help with that. It's going to numb it. It's going to make you feel a little better, but you got to deal with the shit. No matter what you're doing to numb, and we all numb. We numb in many different ways to cover up the pain, or to deal with the pain, or to deal with the sadness or the hurt or just anxiousness. And as a whole right now, as a community of people, our anxiousness level and our mental illness level is so high, so high, especially after COVID, because you have a bunch of people who not only before was working okay in society, but then you put them behind closed doors and don't let them out. Then you have people with extreme social anxiety. And that's what we're looking at right now. We have a lot of mental illness that is not being treated properly. They're thrown pills, and people don't want to open up to people they don't feel safe with. So in my beliefs, and this has been asked of me before because I'm a healer. They're like, well, I do energy work, and they ask me if I do Reiki and I should get Reiki certified. No, I don't, because that's not what I do. It's not what I'm drawn to. And I don't, for me, who's certifying me? Who is certifying me? Who's certifying any of us? You know what I'm saying? Like who's in charge? So we have natural doctors. We have natural nurses, we have natural, everybody has these natural trades within them. They have something that they're drawn to, that they're supposed to do, that they are on this mission in this lifetime to be, but it's been hidden from them. And they don't realize that all they have to do is sit with themselves and to change their life, to strip away their identity of who they've been taught they are. That's what I had to do. I had to forget who I was, not forget, but I had to see myself in a different light, because I'm not this person who can't let her light shine anymore. I stopped it and I let my light shine. And I said, oh, these are the things I love. Well, these are the things that you're meant to use. So when I quit my job, I said, okay, I got this. Spirit gives us these things that we are drawn to for a reason. And that is naturally supposed to be our jobs and trades, guys.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, everybody's got their own thing to do. And, you you got to think outside the box
Yeah.
every once in a while.
Yeah.
Don't just follow mainstream all the way down that straight line.
Absolutely.
Because if you do, you're stuck in that rut.
Yeah.
That's like you was talking, you're an intuitive healer.
Yeah.
Okay. You look at all the herbs that are
Yes.
out there to help people.
Yes.
See, I just got involved with the Corellis mushrooms.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. A friend of mine that does a podcast on our network, Chris Eriks, came down with stage 3 cancer in his jaw, swelled up. He's a bodybuilder, big
Mm.
man, right? Okay. He said he wasn't going to take chemo or none of that. He went to a meeting and ran into these couple. They're from Pet Club 247 that does the Corellis mushrooms. They gave them to him. In 3 months, he cured his cancer.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
now
See,
he's the spokesman for the company that
that's
we're
awesome.
involved in.
Absolutely. We're seeing that movement right now. And there's a reason we're seeing that movement. And this goes back to the whole community thing. But first, I'd like to address the comment there. I said you can't be happy 100% of the time. I agree with that. However, I think the biggest thing to recognize is that when you feel a certain way, there's a reason you feel that way. So it's addressing why. You have to move through it. Don't get me wrong. You can't be happy all the time. No, but you can't walk around in hell all the time. You know, that's your own choice to sit in your prison because the door is wide open. But it's important to remember that, to feel the feels. And no, you don't have to be happy all the time, but you do have to work through it. You can't be someone who just sits around whining all the time about being sad or hurting all the time and not knowing where it's coming from. And you know, then you go to the doctor and get medication that you're going to be stuck on, and it's going to make you worse because you're going to be, you know, addicted. You could be whatever. There's so many. This is why we see a big movement in mental, like the spiritual, the herbal. Everything that's moving toward is going back. We're going back to the old ways. And them old ways, we're taking away all the trauma associated with it. Because here in the mountains, that's how mountain magic. You had the Native Americans that joined with the white people, and they taught each other this or that. But you know, we have medicinal herbs here like crazy, and I'm blessed to live where I live because I have been drawn to them for years and years, and I'm still learning. There's so many, and it's amazing to think that in our backyard we have medicine. We have medicine around us. And so that is another thing for me. Even plant medicine, when we talk about the marijuana and mushrooms, absolutely, I'm a supporter. That is natural medicine. That is a medicine that can help heal people beyond what we have been taught. It is not.
Yeah, when you're talking mushrooms, though, you're not talking about the psychedelic ones. You're talking about the regular
Right.
ones.
We're talking
They're
about
good for you.
Corellis mushrooms. Yeah.
Not the ones that are going to make you run around and beat your head into the wall.
Yeah.
No, I'm actually talking about both. But plant medicine, in that aspect, yes, I've administered them as a shaman. So I have took them myself, and they're awesome. But it needs to be in a very regulated environment because it has helped many people, and it really can help a lot of people. So, and when I go back to the whole gateway drug thing, it's not a gateway to drugs. It's a gateway to consciousness that's been hidden from us because it makes you deal. That's the reason people have bad trips on any one of those things. It's because it tells you everything that you need to know that you need to work on. You know, and I'm one of those people who I love plant medicine in all aspects. And spirit has really, really pushed me to learn more and more and more naturally. And I'm not that person, y'all. When I was in school, I hated school. I did not want to be there. I couldn't pay attention. So I'm a right brainer. I'm one of those people that learned that I can also be intelligent too. Because of where I'm from and the way that we were brought up, a lot of people think we're ignorant. And so that's what I had a title on myself as being ignorant and not good enough, not smart enough. That's not true. And I hate that because a lot of us are walking around thinking we're not good enough. And that's not true. That's not true.
No,
And
you're
there's a
in a
difference
lot better.
between.
You're in a lot better shape than 70% of the Americans in this country. If something would happen, you could
Yes.
survive.
Yes, absolutely. I don't have a problem with surviving.
Right. Same here.
Yeah.
We can't grow much in sand. I'm sorry.
It's okay, but you know where to go.
I do know where to go. I can jump on the road and I can be in Bristol in 9 hours, and
That's right. That's
so
right.
not a big deal.
If it
No,
gets hot, we go to the beach.
That's right. There you go.
We become people soup.
I love Florida. I actually been down there in Brooksville. I done an event down there with a big crew, and the people in that area seemed very, very spiritual. A lot more spiritual and open than people here. And I remember that was the best event that I had ever been to where I had so many people show up and knew what energy work was, because that's one of the things earlier on this path. When I started out, I was like, Spirit, how am I going to do this? How am I going to, because I was working a 9-to-5 job Monday through Friday and then traveling the weekends. And when I quit my job, that's where I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. This is not who I am. And so Spirit's like, well, honey, what do you think you've been doing? You've got all these gifts. You've got all this information and knowledge. Use it. And that's every one of us. You know, I ain't no more special than anybody else. I just chose to lean in on a little bit and listen. You know, I listened and I was like, wait. And I leaned into the fear of it. The fear is the number one, and that's on all aspects. The fear of how am I going to survive, the fear of how I'm going to do this or that or whatever. And I have so many people that are like, well, I couldn't do it. I said, well, you don't have to do it. I said, but I did, and I am. And no matter what, I'm going to keep going, and I know Spirit's going to give me a way. And that's what happened. Yeah.
Yeah. Crystal says people where I live are too open-minded. They went the other way.
Oh,
yeah. Where she lived at, they did.
Yeah. And I'll tell you, Denver, as it's a neat place.
No.
The people make me go.
Well, I can tell you, I don't like driving through Denver. I do know that one.
No.
Well, driving through Denver's fine. It's getting on the other side of it and going up the mountain and then down the mountain at the 8% grade, and with the double 18-wheelers. And believe me, I know.
I know too. I've been there and done that.
Yeah, he's done a lot more.
We've driven to Vegas that way, and
yeah,
I hate that part of 70.
Yeah.
I hate.
Well, I'll tell you what part I don't like is that part through Kansas. I'm on I-40. I'm like, woo, is it 40 that go through?
No, it's 70. You're talking about the part where
it's boring as hell.
Yes, it is boring.
Just 5 hours of nothing.
Of going slightly uphill.
Yes. And Jack, I mean, it's desolate.
Nothing.
Like desolate. I mean, even when I was driving through the desert, at least I could see something, you know? I was like,
well, at least they put those ugly ass windmills out there now you can see.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, once you get past, you get to Colby, Kansas, and you go, well, look, civilization, and it's one exit. That's it.
That's it.
Then you go a little bit further, and I love Lyman. Not that I love the town. I love how they say it's life in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
Limon.
Yep.
I know.
And if you don't stop to go to the bathroom, you're screwed until you get to Denver.
Yeah.
I'm pulling over and pissing on the side of the road. That's all I'm saying for people. You know,
I've done that.
Yes. But I loved it. It was a good trip. Actually, last year, which I know you know, Denise, but took a vision quest and got in the car with little to no money and decided that we was going to go across the United States. And at the time, it was my best friend, Dallas. And we camped our way out west and got to Boulder, Colorado, and decided we were not going to go to Washington State because it was too cold. And we picked it was September. And we didn't know. We didn't check the weather. We just went. It was tits to the wind. And so we got up there, and I woke up in the middle of the night on the side of a hill, by the way. It's like a goat trail, and we had to put our tent on. And I was so mad. I was so aggravated. Spirit was testing you when you felt the aggravation. And it was just like, okay, Spirit, I know. Like, I get it. I can't, we all react. If we're tired, I had been driving for days. I was tired. I wanted something to eat. I wanted a shower. And like, the place wasn't supposed to be on the side of a goat trail. But anyway, I woke up in the morning, it was like 20 degrees. And I said,
oh, yeah. Colorado Springs is like that.
I said, no, 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 no. We're going south. So we went down made our way down to Arizona and then California and then back up to Arizona. But I enjoyed myself greatly. And it was a very telling trip. And I advise anybody just to get in your car and take off. Just go, do it, test yourself, push yourself.
So when you went to Colorado Springs, did
Yeah.
you go down there to the spot where everybody says that they see UFOs and all that? Is that where you went?
No, I didn't. We didn't know where it was going. Everywhere we get to be honest with you, we didn't have an agenda. We had a loose one because my need of control wouldn't have allowed me to do that without freaking out a little bit. So we had a loose plan and we just let spirit lead. And I shit you not, everywhere we ended up, because we used a place called Hip Camp, and it's awesome. I advise anybody to try it. Awesome places, people's backyards, whatever. That's what we did. And everybody's like, "Are you just staying in people's backyards?" I'm like, "Yeah, pretty much." But it was amazing. It was amazing. In Kansas, we stopped, and the man was in the Army like years ago, and he was stationed in Withville, Virginia. And I was like, "Are you shitting me?" And his wife just come up randomly told us that the museum and the place of birth of Eisenhower, where he's buried and everything, was there.
Abilene.
Abilene, yeah. So Abilene. we went to Abilene, and I was like, "This is weird." And then we had, I don't know, on this path, you end up having synchronicities in life, and my life is one big synchronicity, and I would refer to it as Alice in Wonderland, because synchronicities are things that you see over and over that lead you to places and just show you. So one of synchronicities is numbers, but one of the big ones was Selena, and we was looking because I know there's a Selena. Is there a Selena, Missouri? And there's a Selena in Kansas, and we drove through it. And there's a Selena.
So it's Salina?
Yeah, Salina.
Salina.
I don't know about Missouri.
Selena, whatever.
Of the other town.
I think there's a Saline, Missouri.
Yeah.
I think there is a Saline, Missouri.
Yeah.
I was just shocked that it was all the same. I was like, wait a minute, hold on. So anyway, we just got led places. Everywhere we were led, we met someone that was spiritual, there was always some healing involved, whether it be in ourselves or if it was through the people that we met, and that was all spirit led, and it was good. It was an amazing trip, and my favorite part of it, we went to the Grand Canyon, and that was out of just wanting to be so close to it. We were going to experience it. But my favorite experience was a little hybrid environment in Arizona, and it was a hip camp, and it was very hippie like me, and it was just very secluded, and it was in an area where a lot of off-griders live and go to, and so the floor was sand and all natural crystals. And I had major experiences there. It was beautiful. We spent 2 nights there and ended up back there another night.
Was that near Williams, Arizona?
It's God, I can't think of it right off. It was gosh, what was it called? It was right off Route 66.
That Williams is off of 66.
Yeah.
Is it the place where there's a bunch of mines? Crystal mines up in that area?
I think so, possibly. We didn't go with information, so we just found it out when we got there. I drove
because I know that there's a hotel.
It's probably near
underground.
Yeah,
out there as well. But yeah, I know we've been by it. It's got to be near Ash Fork or
Ash Fork.
Seligman.
Yes, Ash Fork. Yes, Ash Fork.
It's probably in that area.
It's the next exit from Williams is Ash Fork.
Yes.
Did you see the ash ram when you were on 40?
Probably.
Yeah, it's on the south side of the road, not too far from there. Okay. And it's got golden domes and all this, and you're going, why here?
Yeah. I probably did. I mean, this was my mind is not focused I don't remember it, but that don't mean crap, because we done the whole across the United States and back for in 10 days. It was crazy.
So did you guys happen to see the F Troop thing in New Mexico?
What is that?
It's on 40, And
Okay.
F Troop was a TV show back in the 60s.
Uh-huh.
And it was hilarious. It only went one season, but one season back then was
If you
like
weren't watching,
60
you would have
shows.
drove by it.
Yeah.
You wouldn't.
It's a rest area. This guy
But it's
loved,
closed up.
yeah, it's closed up, but you can park there and walk around. It's now one of those oddities on 66.
Okay, I gotcha.
So kind of like the Twin Arrows, the gas station at the Twin Arrows. You know, so as you can tell, we've been through every one of these places.
Yeah.
We just didn't always stop. But, you know, my stops are, hey, they have ice cream. They have pie.
Did you go to the Petrified Forest?
We were very close, but didn't get to.
Right?
Yeah, I know. And the reason we didn't is because we was so eventually we was gonna make it out to Oklahoma, and we come up through Missouri because we did go to so my fifth great grandmother was Cherokee. And I know everybody's like, God, roll your eyes, but but it's true. It's true, y'all. So she was buried out there, and it was upsetting. It was an upsetting experience because when we got to the GPS took us to in the middle of nowhere where there was no graveyard around. And then the place that marked what had happened initially is that the land was bought out by a commercial cattle ranch. And they had put barbed wire fence around it. And I guess after stuff got disheveled and whatever, and it grew up around it. So it was in the middle of private property.
Yeah.
And I say this woman was her name was Rebecca Crow. She's part of women's history. She was the first Native American woman to win a court case over land, and she won like I think $5,000 or to something like that along that side. But anyway, it was right off the Trail of Tears. And we went from there to Arkansas. But I was so upset because we had got a hold. This is how spirit works. I got in there. I went into the graveyard. And we had to jump a fence to do it. And we did it legally before anybody says anything. But I mean, yeah, I would have done it without the permission too. Because that's just who I am. I'm like,
you're honest.
Yeah, I'm at shit. But you know, the truth of it is there's this woman that is buried there who was not honored. And it is tragic. You know, it's tragic to me to know. So I reached out to the Cherokee Nation, and they told me that they could help me by giving me $500. And I'm like, I can't. I'm here in Virginia. I don't even have a pot to piss in at the moment, you know, and $500 is not going to do what needs to be done. It was so bad. I videoed it, and I actually reached out to some of the people that had put because there's a whole memorial for her, and I was like shocked. I was like, and she's buried here. And the headstones were knocked over. They were busted. It was overgrown. They were prickly ash trees. So it was very hard when I did get in there. The farmhand security was like, yeah, sure, you can go on, but you'll have to climb the fence. I said, honey, it ain't the first fence I've climbed. No worries. He said, oh, watch out for copperheads because they're bad this time of the year. I said, oh, yeah, they are at our house too. So
and
no worries.
The rattlesnakes, that's what I would have been more concerned about.
Yeah, but it didn't bother me. None of that bothered me. The fact that he was doing it just to be, you know, very obviously chauvinistic, and that just being an asshole, because other people had been there. We was right on Cherokee Lane. Like this was Cherokee Nation. This was Oklahoma and Cherokee Nation. And when I drove through there, I had never drove through Oklahoma. I had never been in Arkansas. I was like, I'm home because, of course, the mountains and the Ozarks, it is a part of that Appalachian. I said, these are my people. Like, it just made total sense why we are the way we are here because that's, you know, we're all part of each other. But yeah, I was very sad after that because it was disheartening. It was sad. It was somber. But I did reach out and try to do something about it. And in the future, hopefully, I'm hoping Spirit leads the way and blesses me in some way, shape, or form to get a hold of or in the right hands to get the right people out there that need to clean this graveyard up because it is disrespectful to me. Where I come from, I don't care if you live on the land, if you bought the property and you're working on whatever it is, you take care of that because that is the dead. You honor the dead. And these people that are buried there, it's untelling how many other people that is buried there that made an impact on their generations.
Their society, yeah.
Their society.
We cleaned up a graveyard here. Okay. So, you know, we live kind of in a rainforest.
Yes.
here. So things grow up very quickly.
Real fast.
Yeah.
I don't know what it looks like now, but back in May,
Whew.
we went and we cleaned this place up with about 20 Boy Scouts and their parents and one other, two people from our paranormal team that we're honorary on.
Lots of power tools.
Lots of tools were used in this. And I even cleaned a bunch of the headstones,
Yes.
The way you're supposed
Yeah,
to.
it was.
Yeah.
And this place, it was on a huge plantation at one time, but it was a family cemetery, so it's very historic. I mean, the road's even named after the family.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody had been out there. There's this walkway between these two houses to get there. Nobody's been buried there in years, and it was horrible.
Mm-hmm.
We took out like 4 truck sizes of debris and stuff, and it was at least 8-10 feet tall. If it wasn't for the Boy Scouts, it wouldn't have been that tall, but they had to see how high they could make it.
That's the thing about out there at Oklahoma at that cemetery. Like nobody even knew the cemetery exists. We stopped at a local church because I didn't know. Like I needed to find somebody that was local that knew. So I stopped at a church and went in and asked them. I was like, "Do you know?" Because we're trying to find the cemetery and it says it's right here. Well, we went down this old road, like a residential road, and saw somebody standing out. And that guy happened to know the people that owned it and the security guy. And so that's how we got in. That's how I got over there and into the cemetery. But it was so thick, guys. Like this is not a job you can just go in there with a weed whacker or whatever. This is something you have to go with chainsaws, and they're broken.
We did.
The headstones are broken.
Yep.
The headstones are broken. They're disheveled. They are stomped into the ground. So apparently they had not put up anything around this before they was interacting with cattle in there. And they just trampled over everything. And they had barbed wire fence around that. And there was no right of way for that cemetery, which baffled me because they had that fence and it was locked. And that's why he said, "Well, you can go, but you have to climb the fence." I said, "Honey, I ain't got a problem climbing a fence,"
Yeah, we had to tear out all this stuff just to get to the fence.
Yeah.
So there was no walking right up
just
to
the
the
outside.
fence. Yeah, there was no walking up to the fence, and then there was another fence inside. And then
Yeah.
once we got inside, I'm finding graves in these other places. We went to this other graveyard, up in what is that called? Place I didn't want to live. Starts with a C.
Cantonment.
Cantonment. We went up to Cantonment to this graveyard, and this one side of the graveyard was really nice. We go back into the woods, and there are all these graves in the woods.
Yeah.
Grown up over, you still. I mean, you can see down in some of them. Okay, so that means that they're nasty at this point.
Well, you wouldn't even have known it was there, but a local that told one of the women in the group.
Connie,
Yeah.
I've had her on my show, told her where it was, took her back in there and showed her, and then she took me.
Otherwise you wouldn't know.
Yeah, wouldn't. Well, I would have probably known, but it was interesting to see. But here in our town, we have Revolutionary War soldiers buried here.
Yeah.
We have a graveyard downtown that I'm still trying to. I want to know more before I go.
Yes.
That's been there since the 1400s.
Yeah.
A lot of places don't have their history going back that far, but here in Pensacola area, we do. And it's amazing to have all that.
Yeah. It is amazing to have all that because we sure don't have it here. Like I'm learning stuff as an adult that I had no clue and nobody knew, and especially when I got into the paranormal, because being in the paranormal, it leads you to these places. Like one of the places locally that I investigated, and an old man lived there, and this place was so like it wasn't in the shape it needed to be, and it was historical. There was a doctor that lived there, and he was an herbal doctor, and so he treated people in the Civil War. And it was like the history of this was unbelievable. I said, why didn't we learn about shit like this? Like, nobody taught us that, and it's right here. Like,
it's because they had to whitewash all of our history.
Yes, exactly.
And when I say whitewash, I mean whitewash. Now it's to the point to where they want to wash out all the white. Now.
It never happened. Yeah.
Yeah, it never happened. So our families were never on the Trail of Tears. It didn't exist. It didn't happen.
On my timeline, it did, and I remember, baby. So
It happened. In fact, we went down to Arkansas, down to Lincoln, Arkansas, a few years ago. And when we used to go down there before, there were no signs that said that this was part of the Trail of Tears, even though we knew that it might possibly would have been. But it's quite possible that my family crossed his family somewhere along there, because my family went on the Trail of Tears.
Yes.
And his lived on the Trail of Tears.
There you go. We didn't even know we were going to be encountering the Trail of Tears. I didn't, because I'm telling y'all, I'm ignorant when it comes to our history. And to be honest, I love it that way, because that means when I have these experiences and when I encounter that knowledge, that it is, it's for real. It's like putting these puzzle pieces together. Because I'm a firm believer that unless I can see it and I can hear it and I can witness it for myself, then it's hearsay. And that's just the way it should be. Because if you believe everything that you're told, then you're just following into the sheeple. And that's a big problem that we have as a society. But, it's like, it's ridiculous to think that we can try and buy, and they can, because it's mass. If you tell someone that something didn't exist, like the Mandela effect was, and like that never existed. No, it did exist. But some people remember it and some people don't. Why? Because for so many years, somebody told you that it didn't exist, that it was really
Right.
is.
And then they go back and they show you, and you go, well, then I guess I'm remembering it wrong.
Yeah.
Because they've wiped this all out of,
Yes.
like so like somebody's traveled back in time and changed all this, but yet we still remember it.
Yeah. And see, this is my thing, is how did we convey our history back in the day? It was not by writing it. It was
all verbal.
It was all verbal. So
yes.
Yeah. And so that's the sad part about it too, because a lot of it is forgotten. It was never said. It was never, it was not interpreted the right way. It's just like the Bible, it's just like, okay, that's not really how it is or was, or, so to me, if someone says hearsay, then you have to decipher what that truth is, how it feels to you, So
how it was interpreted at the time.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And that's the part about the Bible that makes it hard for me sometimes, is I know that when they put it in there, they meant it word for word.
Yeah.
But how we interpret it now, we will make it fit.
Yes.
Our narrative at the time.
Absolutely.
And of course, it's meant to make you feel better. I mean, in all honesty, it's not always.
No.
So, but when you went to your fifth great grandmother's grave, okay, did you have, besides the spiritual experience of going, this is my family?
Yes.
Did you witness any other spirits there?
I didn't.
That reached out?
I didn't know. She had been in connection with us prior to that. So people hear me talk about grandmother a lot. And for me, I don't ride. And this is going to shock some people, because it might insinuate that I go by native beliefs. I don't even go by any of our beliefs that we've been taught. I look at things and I feel things. And if it resonates with me, then I'll put it in my heart. But the truth is the knowledge that I have and I have been gifted is ancient, and it dates back past humanity of our understanding. And that's the reason why, because we have to understand as peoples, we have to understand, and somebody's got to tell us how to understand it. Because again, it goes back to that whole control thing, the whole control, the whole perception, the history of things. I have a hard time. I have a really hard time with, I don't have a hard time as in negatively. I have a hard time now. I used to be, I wouldn't even say the word God, because it upset me, because so many people use that in vain. They use it to hate people. They use it to, and even the Bible, and I agree with you. There's things in there. It's supposed to help people have good morals. But the truth is, you already have morals. That ain't got nothing to do with a book.
And the thing is some of those morals aren't the best.
No, they're not. And so that's my thing with that. My beliefs, and that's the reason I can't argue with people about the Bible or anything. Most people who, like me, we know more about the Bible than people that throw it at you. No, they just know what they've been taught, and it's ignorance. So unfortunately, they can't argue with me because I don't believe in that. I don't put my belief system in that. I said I can't. If you tell me I'm going to hell, then we are in hell. Like, I'm like, what are you talking about? I don't believe in hell. I believe hell.
You just tell him that,
I
if
can't
that's the
argue
case,
that.
I'm going to be there with some really good people.
Oh yeah, that's what I used to say. I said, I'm driving the bus, baby. Come on, let's just go. Let's go together.
I mean, let's be honest. Nobody wants. I mean, when we pass, we want to. If there is an afterlife, we want it to be excellent. We don't want it to be horrible. Yeah. I mean, that's the way that we're people. Yes. People always hope for better.
Yes.
The next time. Mm-hmm. We're not thinking, oh, we want it to be worse for our families when they get older, or as they grow, we want them to get better.
Yeah.
I get really angry at, like when Donald Trump got shot. Okay. Mm-hmm. No politics involved. He got shot.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have wished that on anybody.
No.
Period.
Right.
No.
And anybody who celebrated that, they're in their own hell.
Yeah, that's ugliness. It's very much so ugliness.
And it's all reverted back now to that it's all different now. But for 2 weeks there, it was great.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, look at the world. Look at the world.
Everybody agreed.
Look at the world. Did you ever think that we'd live in a world where they tell us that UFOs do exist? Come on now. Everybody that's been dubbed crazy like us, paranormal people who've had these experiences that felt like they were crazy, got put in the nut house. The older generations would have been sent to the nut house, and they did. I have met many people who are gifted who have been sent to the nut house. And you know what happens on this path is that this is what gets me is like, no, define crazy, first of all, because anything that goes against what we've been taught is crazy. And that's lunacy. Look at what's happening right now, guys.
Yeah, look at it's all changed in just our lifetime.
Okay, you have chastised people. You have burned people on stakes. You have dunked people. You have hung people. You have, you know what I'm saying? It's all ignorant. And I said, if Jesus did exist, what kind of motherfucker would stand by and let him be hung? Now, does that make sense to anybody? Would you stand around and watch somebody be hung? I wouldn't. No. I would not. I don't care what they were. No, that is not right. It is not for us to put our judgment on people into trial of our judgment of what they're supposed to be. And Christianity is not everything. And just seeing the comment below, talking about cultural histories, all of it has truth in it. But we all have our perception, and we've been fed of what the truth is.
Right.
They're all truth. They all lead to the same place. But you have rules that keep you bonded and into their little box. And I'm not a box person. I'm not a box person.
Yeah, I know I've had trouble with a lot of not the Native American teachings, but the anti-Native American teachings.
Yes.
And it's bothered me. Then I also have trouble with, I'm not Jewish, but my daughter is.
Yeah.
And her family that she married into is. And I have trouble with with their history being whitewashed as well. Yeah. I mean, I know people who told me their firsthand account of what happened to them.
Yes.
At that time.
Yeah.
I mean, and I know that's amazing that I know somebody at that time. She was 96 when she passed away. And she told me all of this, my daughter's wedding. So great grandma told me this whole story before her dementia kicked in.
Yeah.
And it was an amazing story. And it's like, why doesn't anybody believe that this happened when there's so many people that know it did?
Yeah.
Well, some people, they believe what they want to believe. They don't want to hear any facts or truth.
Yeah.
No.
It didn't meet their agenda.
Or it wasn't in their face.
And it would mean that they've been lied to. It would mean they've been lied to. And what if you woke up one day and realized what you believed so wholeheartedly that you fought for or against was wrong?
Are you telling me there's no tooth fairy?
Been there and done that.
It depends, No, but
But
you know,
you got some people, they're just not going to change their mind. Even if you give them all the facts and the truth, they want to believe what they want to
They
believe.
won't.
no, because the truth is
And
it's perspective.
that's what I call closed-minded idiots.
It is, and it's perspective. You can't change someone's perspective when you see it differently, and that's okay. Let someone have their different perspective, but don't cram that dick in somebody's face and want them.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? That's what that's like. It's like, you can waller that thing around all you want, but don't put it in my face, because that's not what. It's ridiculous to me that we think that we need to force people to think like we do.
No.
Let people, and this is the thing. I don't care if you think differently than I am, but don't come at me and try to fight me, because I ain't about to fight you on your beliefs.
No.
That's your beliefs. It ain't mine. I have mine.
Yeah.
I have my connections.
I mean, I want to. Okay, let's just say this. I'm a Gemini.
Oh yeah, my mom's a Gemini.
So I have two minds about everything.
Yes.
Yep.
I want to hear both sides of every
Not
argument.
into astrology.
It has nothing to do with that. It has to do with personality.
It does.
Oh,
See, my
and just so
rising
you
is-
know, Donald Trump and I share a birthday. And I see these same traits in him.
Yeah.
Him listening to other people's sides of everything. And I've
actually seen it firsthand.
But I also see it in Boy George, who I also share a birthday with, who also sits there and listens to both sides.
Yeah.
And they are two different sides of that quarter.
Yes, absolutely. See, I'm a Libra, but my rising is Gemini. So I'm a double air sign, and that Gemini, it all makes sense when you start diving into astrology, which Spirit has totally led me into. Like, that's what I love about it all, because all my life, even though I grew up like going to church with my papa and mama every Sunday, and my biggest fear was being told the world was going to end tomorrow. And I was like, oh, the world's going to end. So I would have dreams about my mom and dad dying. That's ridiculous, guys.
Well, that's because you went to a Southern Baptist church.
Yeah,
where
yeah.
Everything was hellfire and brimstone.
Right, absolutely.
You couldn't have fun on Sunday. You had to study. You studied the Bible, and you had dinner with your family, and you didn't do much else. You might have went to the graveyard to see your family.
Yeah.
But that was, I might have been in Baltimore and New Jersey, but it was the same for us.
Right.
As what you were going through, I was going through as well, because my family was the same, hellfire and brimstone.
Absolutely.
Their church was not a happy place.
No, it's not.
You're going to behave or you're going to hell.
I hated it. And I would not sit through, I do Sunday school because it was more enjoyable. It was more uplifting. But when they started preaching, I would not participate in that. My mom and papa would never make me. And my mom and dad never was religious, so they didn't force that down my throat. And I'm so thankful for that, because I would have had to fight a lot of demons if I hadn't, because that's what religion does to you. No matter what religion it is, it puts you in these mindsets of what you're supposed to be and what you're not supposed to do. And the truth is, guys, just have good morals and be a good damn person. Treat people good and treat yourself good, and stop. Let's stop this. It's ridiculous. And you don't have to have good morals. You don't have to go to church or believe in a certain thing to have good morals ever. Because even when I was going to church, I was never one. And even as an adult, I had a hard time just saying the fact that, angels and God, and this was because of other people. This is how. And not everybody who is in these religions is like that. But that is people who are still healing on their path. And ultimately they'll understand that religion has nothing to do with them going to heaven or hell. It doesn't, because that is a mindset. That is a mindset that's been casted upon us. And they say, in a control tactic. It is. Why would we? Why do we feel the need to force people into believing something? Why?
Yeah. All I know is I try to be the best person I can be every day. And, when you go out in public, even if you don't feel like it, smile.
Yeah.
Smile at the person in front of you. It might be the only smile they see all day.
Absolutely. Tell somebody they're beautiful. I've always been a happy person. I've always
I
been
can see you doing that. I don't see me telling somebody that they're beautiful.
Yeah.
But I do tell little kids that all the time.
Yeah. And so like I'm a sister.
I get slapped.
Oh,
Like that booty though.
well, that's because you got your penis out too.
That's so funny. I love it.
You know,
Too many years of being married.
I love it. I love it. That's great. But no, it's ridiculous. I don't even know. It's just exhausting talking about it, really, because it's like, to me, it's common sense. It's like, if you want to believe in Santa Claus, believe in Santa Claus, I think is beautiful, because there's a spirit of everything. There's a spirit of God. There's an energy of God, and it's consciousness. And it's so deeper than what we've ever been taught. And that's my goal in life. And that's where I'm going forward in, is teaching people that they can access and be whoever they want to be, as long as they allow it, and to stop the outside chatter, because we've been unfortunately exposed to fear, and that is what rules it all, is fear. And that is where negativity comes from, because we react accordingly to that fear. And it's like, when we're born into this world, we're a blank canvas, and it's our parents who teach us what's right or wrong, or what to be scared of, right? So whatever their fears are gets casted upon us as kids, and so we go into adulthood doing the same thing to our children. And I've realized that just by sitting with myself, because I did it to my kids. I was like, oh, no, because I was one of the moms like, oh, no, I was like, ah. So you start realizing this is what we do. This is what, cycle after cycle.
But
And
the thing is, when it comes to our kids, they need some fear. They
everybody
need
needs
to
fear.
that car that might hit them. They need to fear that first step in case they take it off the side of the mountain.
Right.
They need to be aware of some stuff, but with that fear, you're hopefully imparting knowledge. And it's not, it starts out as fear and it becomes knowledge.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing about it is physically, I get that part, but spiritually and mentally, there's a lot of fear. And that's more where I'm geared toward, because our fear is like fear of public speaking, fear of communication, fear of love, fear of giving love. It's a lot of things that deeply impact us, and we don't want to admit it, because we've been told, oh, that ain't nothing. Trauma is when you get the hell beat out of you. No, it ain't when you've been mentally abused. It ain't when you've been mentally abandoned. And there's fears that are under there, and it keeps people from being who they are capable of being. And this is what I've been told for a long time. And it's amazing to see this, because not only do I preach this, there's so many other people that coming into my wheelhouse that was preaching the same messages. And I know that there's no coincidence in that we're getting the same messages about the same thing. We don't even know each other. This is people randomly on TikTok that get in my algorithm, in my synchronicity. You got Carmen in chat. She's one of my good friends, and me and her have lined right up. Like, she has channeled messages of the same kind of, it's just amazing to watch how, as a collective, when you move with love, and you move through the fear and overcome the fear, that you are opening yourself up for a major healing in your life that no one's ever talked about. And so that fear is layers. And it's not just, like I said, it's just not physical. It's mental. It is big. That's the biggest thing. Healing is more mental than anything, because guess what? Life didn't come with a manual. Your parents did not come with a manual that said, how am I going to be the best parent? They're parenting how their parents parented. They're trying to do a little bit better, though. Do they do it completely better? No, because we're still evolving. We're still growing and recognizing. This is the first generation in our era. That's why I said it's a revolution, because we are awakening and we're seeing, I ain't doing this no more. I'm not carrying on these traditions. I'm not carrying on incest. I'm not carrying on molestations. I'm not staying quiet no more. Mm-hmm. That's a problem. That's fear. We fear raising our voices and letting go of this because of what people think. That is a fear, what people think.
It is. And huge. It took me a long time to get beyond that. But I was bullied in school growing up. And it took me a long time to say, I don't care what you say about me. You're not going to say it about my kids.
Yeah.
But you're not, I don't care what you say about me.
Yeah.
go to hell.
Yeah, I think when you go through life and you don't make a good decision for yourself because you're afraid of what people think, because and I can speak from experience. You know, going forward, you have people around you telling you not to leave a situation because it's not in their eyes. But you're not thinking, oh, why the fuck do you care? Because you don't pay my bills, you don't wipe my ass, you don't see my sadness, you don't see my scars, you don't see my trauma. All you see is what the image looks on the outside of the window in. Why? Why do we feel the power to do that to people?
It
Because
goes right back to where we started with the cookie cutters.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, I'm watching you, honey. You better be doing everything that we're doing. You know, if you're not, then we're going to talk about you.
You know, back in the 60s and 70s, they called that keeping up with the Joneses.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, we still call it that.
My family never really looked at that. It wasn't something that ever happened.
Mine was like this to the Joneses.
Yeah. Well, you know, for me, it was my story is multifaceted and kind of, you know, something I don't really, I ignore a lot of the shit that happened to me because it doesn't change who I am, but it molded me to the person that I am, to where I give a shit about stuff that I need to give a shit about.
Yeah, you do. And that's beautiful that you said that. And that just tells me that you are willing to open that part of yourself up, and that's being vulnerable. And you know, the way that I grew up is, now I didn't grow up with the Joneses. We didn't have money, and I come from moonshiners and pot growers, and then also the other side of it was preacher. And you know, so I had poverty on this side, then I had, you know, little religion on this side. But either way, it was two completely families on my mom and dad's side, and you bring them together. I've been able to sit back and look at both, and I'm like, I see the goodness, and I take out the bad, and I heal the bad. So if I find that in myself or in the surroundings, because I didn't heal myself in time for it not to go to my kids, and I think that's what makes it big and more. I guess people can see it better because this is your children. You love your children. You care about your children. You don't want your children to hurt. Well, then heal yourself so your children don't have to heal it for you. Unfortunately, a lot of us didn't get that in time, and that's okay. Some of us never get it. I've sat down and had conversations with my 80-some-year-old mama who never got to live her life how she wanted to, but she lived it how people said or thought that she had to. She stayed. She stayed when she shouldn't have. She stayed out of fear. She stayed. You know what I'm saying? It's sad. It's sad that we've been like this for a very long time. But there's changes. There's changes abound, and where there's a will, there's healing. Where there's a opening up and sharing, there's healing. Because it doesn't matter. You don't have to tell everybody your story, but you have to tell yourself your story. And you got to be okay with your story. And you got to look at your story and say, I'm okay. Like, I forgive. And you have to forgive, or else it's poison. It's poison that you keep in your body and you store in there and you keep it locked away. And most people think that's okay because you don't have to deal with it, but that's not true. A poison, what does it do? It sits there and it just keeps going. It's not removed. It's there. It's always there, and it affects you. And the problem with the ego is the ego will tell you, well, we're going to protect ourselves. And when people hear ego, they think of someone who thinks they're better than anyone. No, ego is not that. Ego is not that at all. Ego is when you have a defense mechanism for yourself and you wear masks to cover up the pain. And we all do it. Nobody's different.
We all do. At some point in time, let's be honest, we all have to do it sometimes.
Yes, absolutely.
Because our pain we know that our pain could hurt somebody else, and that's the last thing we want to do is hurt somebody else.
Right. But what we don't know is it hurts people anyway, because our pain comes out in different ways. Our pain comes out in a lack of impatience. It comes out in anger, reactiveness when we shouldn't have. So it comes out in abuse, and we don't think it's abuse because abuse is hitting someone. No, there's mental abuse. And it's, we're very fragile humans, very fragile. And although, like me, I grew up in a household where you had to be an asshole to keep up, or else you're just going to be crying all the time. Just going to be crying all the time. Because, I love that because it didn't make me weak. It didn't make me one of these people who were offended at everything. Thank God. But there's also the aspect of it where it makes you not deal with stuff because that shows weakness and vulnerability. and we don't cry around here. So it took me a long time to say, yeah, I'm crying and I'm going to cry. And you can't tell me I can't cry, because being vulnerable doesn't mean you're weak. It means that you're opening yourself up for healing, that you're opening yourself up for love and these emotions to come out that needs to come out, because it does affect you. People don't think it does, but it does. And it affects you, your mind, your body, and your soul. And it comes out in our bodies. Sickness comes out in our bodies, and like it's mental sickness and things that we don't deal with that comes out in different forms. Fibromyalgia is inflammation. Autoimmune diseases is inflammation. So the thing that also spirits taught me is that a lot of the things that we're consuming, and whether it be we're listening, we're seeing, or we're intaking into our body, is inflammation. It is inflaming our bodies. And that's where it all comes from and spins from, is that energy. So yeah, you got to be more mindful and conscious of what you're putting into your body, and that means you are consuming in any way, whether it's the news, whether it's something that is affecting you negatively. You have to be aware, and you have to disconnect from it, or else it's going to rule your life. If anything changes your behavior or your mood, then you need to sit with it. Sit with yourself. And is it worth it? Really? Is it worth it? Because for me, it's not. It's not, because it means that someone who is in their hell brought me down in their hell with them when I've been up here vibing. Happy, love life. That's how we should be, and not allow other people to put us in their hell. But we do all the time. We do, and we react so quickly that we'll be vibing up here in this vibrational plane, and then someone will piss us off. Someone will offend us, and what happens? You go low. We got a lower vibrational.
That's the thing. I don't get offended usually. I don't care.
Yeah.
But I will say this has been a really enlightening show. And if we really didn't want to talk, we could have gotten Frank on here with her, and that'd have been it. And we'd all just sat back and went and had dinner.
all sat back and enjoyed for about 4 hours. Yeah.
Well,
I will say,
Are you going? You said you're not doing any events or going to any this year?
I have not been doing a lot of events to begin with, but I have. The last year I've been like homeless, because I made a decision to get a divorce, and so and I've been through a lot. I have been through so much. So I'm actually building a tiny house. My dad is helping me, and it's on their property, and I've just been through a lot. And it's shown me a lot in my life. And so trust me, guys, if you sit with someone spiritual, and they're truly spiritual, you're going to know, because they've been through the hard knocks, because that's the real deal. It's people who've been through hell to know what hell's like, because you have to go through it to understand it.
Well, there's a song that says, if you're going through hell, keep on going.
And absolutely, you have to. And you have to go with a smile on your face, even if it's hurting, and you can pain. But I tell everybody, I said, at this point in my life, I've got my combat boots on and a joint out my mouth, and that's where I am right now. I'm tits to the wind. I'm enjoying myself. I'm not letting other people control my thoughts. I'm not letting other people control my energy. I'm doing what's right for me, and anything that don't feel right, I let go.
And I see you've been spending some time with the granddaughter too.
Absolutely. She
is so adorable.
She's something else. You talking about a powerful little girl. I call her Matilda. She's my little ginger baby. She's a bright red head with blue eyes. Her mama, we all got blue eyes, so she's got them intense blue eyes.
So she's very Irish, huh?
She is, yeah.
I saw the pictures, and I could see the pride when you were sharing the pictures of her.
Yeah, that's my baby. That's my baby. She's something else. I mean, there's, I'm telling you, she's my first grandbaby, and I got a second one on the way, but it's different. It's a lot different. I've always heard that, and then to experience, and it is different.
Being a grandma, and in your case, a mama.
Yep.
I wouldn't trade it for anything, and I know that these two wouldn't trade being grandfathers for anything.
No.
I like being able to hand them back at the end of the day.
Yes.
But I don't mind changing their diaper or whatever needs to happen. It happens. I just do it.
Yes.
Like the other day we showed up over at Lindsay's because Piper was just not into it. She wanted out of there. She was cranky. So we go over there, and as soon as we come back with Piper, Nolan decided he's not wearing his diaper.
I love it.
So when you were talking about the penis and stuff, his was everywhere.
Yeah, that's how my kids grew up. I mean,
I looked at him and I go, "Do you need to go potty?" And he goes, "Yes, Papa." So because he calls both of us Papa.
I love it. I love it.
So I take him to the bathroom, and he doesn't do anything, but he feels like he's a big boy because he can flush the toilet.
I love it.
You know, so we got that. Now Clover, on the other hand, we were talking to her the same night, and I asked her about going to the potty, and she said it doesn't flush. So she won't use it because it doesn't flush.
Oh.
So we now know that we have to bring the toilet seat for her so that she can flush.
Oh.
That's all Nolan wanted to do. So I'm assuming that Clover, that's all she wants to do too. So
I love it.
But when is your new grandbaby coming?
And I don't know if it's a boy or girl yet, but in January. So
you got some time.
Yeah, a little bit of time. And so yeah, it's weird. It just, time goes by so fast. And I know y'all know that. Like, time goes by so fast. Because my youngest, he's a senior right now. So, you know, he's graduating high school, and then that's it. You know, mama's nest.
Oh, wow.
Well, I'm just so glad your boys are basically all grown up.
They are. I mean, like it's crazy, but it's also, you know, that's another thing I've had to learn, is to learn how to attend to myself, because the way we were taught here is you don't tend to yourself. You're totally selfless, because as a mother, especially in my situation, as a mother and father, and most of the time you didn't have, that was selfish. And I hate that. We've taught that, you know, and I've learned to be self-full instead of selfish. You know, people say it's selfish. I don't care what you think. I'm going to take time for me. I'm going to, because it's like after your kids are grown, you're like, what do I do with myself? Do I attach myself to my kids? And I've learned, no, I've let my kids grow up. My kids are living their life, and they're learning their lessons in life, and I'm here to love them and care for them back here. And mama's here. But, you know, it's been hard. It's not easy, because I was a mother. Like, I got pregnant when I was 17 years old. So I had my first one when I was 18. And it ain't like, and this is my first time really getting to live and enjoy this and figure out who I am completely and embrace who I am. And she's a minimalist and a granny woman who runs around half naked and mostly naked, who just enjoys
I know,
life.
I've seen the pictures.
I'm just, you know, I'm just that way. I'm very connected to nature and myself and my wild woman side. A very, very feminine, primal person who encourages other people to heal and embrace them parts of themselves, so you can enjoy yourself. You know, enjoy yourself and just be tits to the wind.
Yeah, you might want to get, when you're with your little house, you might want to get with you don't need an 8-foot fence, but a 6-foot fence around it, so you don't scare your dad.
Oh no, he's used to it. Honey, he grew up, like, they raised me. They know. So I've always been this way. I'd walk around the house in my panties all the time, and it wasn't a big deal. It was just never. It's sad that we've made it like that in society, and I understand why in certain aspects, but it's like my grandbaby. She'll take off her diaper and go running around in the yard naked, and we're like, there's no neighbors here. I grew up here. 22 acres, no neighbors. And I realized, and it took me to my adulthood and having to move back here on my mom and dad's property, that I grew up feral, and I love it. And that's who I am, as a feral woman. And that's why, you know, good luck trying to penis this down.
So we're at this point, where can everybody find Holly?
You can
we
find
know we can find you at the house naked, but
Yeah.
where can they find you that you want them to find
Poor
you?
Dan just got on here. He's like, what the hell are they talking about?
Welcome. You can find me in the holler. No, I'm joking. You can find me on Facebook. You can find me under Intuitive Healer Holly Mullins, or just my regular Facebook. That's just become my working page. I'm just so very much authentic. I am who I am. So I just decided my page is going to be my page, because it seemed like that I was getting more flow on my regular, just personal page. So it's Holly Mullins. And, all the information can be found there. I'm on TikTok. I've got a Patreon. My whole goal is to get this healing center going and live in an intentional community with others that are like-minded. And I got a Patreon, and I do readings, I do paintings, I do salves, tinctures, and all kinds of things to help fund my own tiny house, but also my future for this healing center that Spirit's really pushing me towards.
Are you still doing stuff at that store in Pikeville?
I do readings down there monthly. Next month is past life regressions.
There you go. If you guys are looking for a reading and you happen to be in Eastern Kentucky,
Heck yeah.
West Virginia,
Yep.
come on over. It's not too far from Williams.
No, it's not. And I also do things online as well. Right now, I'm trying to not stretch myself so thin, because we are working on this tiny house. The goal is to get it up by winter, and also still work on all the other things that's going on. It's crazy, but I enjoy it. I live in my tent, my parents' backyard, and people are like, why do you do that? Like, you could totally sleep in the house. I'm like, because I'm me. Like, this is the way I like to live. Like, people think less is less, and I think less is more, because it makes us connect to and appreciate what we do have.
The only bad thing there is sometimes the air doesn't move, and it makes it really hot.
Yeah, well, we live in the holler. We're in a bowl.
Yeah,
I know. You're down, and there no air moves sometimes.
Yeah. Well, we're down in we're not on the sides of now. I lived before I moved, I lived right down the road, and just out of sight. But I lived on the side of the hill. And usually in the hollers, what you'll see is people are lining the sides of the hollers, and there's just a creek in the middle. But
and that's cooler.
Yeah, and we're in the middle because that's a bow area, and so it's not that bad. It's not too bad. So a lot of trees for shade, and I love it. It's just I'll just take off in the woods and go, because I've always done that, and just be able to go get my medicine. And that's something I've been doing lately too, is like I said, here in the area, been blessed to get to know a lot of the herbs over the years, but grew up with some of the herbs. That was lost, though. It was lost in so many years here. We went to medicines, we went to knowing what our herbs were, to not knowing at all. And that we relied on the elderly for that, and then they died out, and that's all we had. So now we're having to relearn what was already was, because people are realizing that the medicine that we're taking is just it's killing us.
I hate to say it, but go to any hospital except the one in Pikeville. Even the one in Norton's got to be better than the one in Pikeville.
Nope.
So you were talking earlier about Withville.
Mm-hmm.
Quick story. I found my mom's marriage license.
Uh-huh.
She lied on it. Said first off she was 18. Second of all, my grandmother was dead. She wasn't. But on it said the city of Withville.
Oh my God. So they ran off and got
ran off and got married. But the thing is I found out from my cousin that everybody in Withville knew my family.
Wow. That's weird.
Back in the
weird, but weird
50s. So back in the 50s, they knew my family.
Yeah. It's crazy to me, like how many people I could be across the United States and run into something like that. It's like it's no coincidence. The people that you meet that come into your life, that you think so small scaled when you're living here, because everybody knows everybody, but we don't know anybody outside of here. But you go away from here and run into people that will say, "Oh yeah, I know where a pound is." I'm like, "God, man, you must really like."
Well, what's funny is recently I came into contact with two people, one whose last name is Pridemore. So her maiden name is Pridemore.
Yeah.
And then we ran and this lady asked us to speak in Foley, and she's got Pridemores in her family.
Oh, nice.
And it's like, this is unusual because we're used to being the only Pridemore family.
Yes.
Yeah. And so, and this is just in my little town, in our town, there's actually Pridemores that aren't us.
Yeah.
So, but I don't know. It's interesting. So, on the 18th of this month, we're going to go on a hike to Flag Rock in Norton.
Yeah.
The hike is 2 miles and it's about learning herbs and plants in the region that could be used for medicinal purposes.
It's happening. So, I'm telling you guys, it's happening. We've got people who here, because what we do have here is a lot of resources. We have a lot of people that have a lot of knowledge. So what I'm seeing, which is amazing, is my homestead people that are rising, the younger people, the millennials. I'm an elder millennial. That I'm very fortunate that I was in the fields with my papa, and my mom and dad gardened. That I had a weed eater in my hand, and I was push mowing, and I was out there with my daddy in the tractor, and I was around the farm animals and everything. So, we've lost that, and it's coming back. And it's these generations that we're more considered Gen X's than we are the elder millennials, I feel like, because we were raised by boomers and Gen X's. We have that same mentality, that work ethic, the everything. And we've lost that. We've lost that so much. I can't see society going forward with the children that we have today, because it's just, what are we going to do? Like Wally?
There's Joe.
Yeah.
Hey, so, what's ginseng used for? I know it's illegal to pick, but
no, it ain't. Yeah, there's a season for it.
That's supposedly.
Well, there's seasons,
but most of the time it's on private property.
It is
on private property and get it.
It is in a lot of national forests. But
what do they use it for?
So I tell you who really favors ginseng, and it's the Chinese. That's the reason that it's where it's mainly sent to when we take it and turn it in. That's how I grew up. My dad actually has some ginseng, but the season here is in September. Some grows on the property, but you got to know what you're looking for. It's used for many different medicinal properties. One is for menstrual, for women going through the hormonal imbalance. That's one of many that ginseng does for you. But yeah, right off,
that's to help with your memory as well.
Okay.
Yes, there's just so many different ones. Right now, I'm doing mullein. Mullein is a big one, which mullein I know grows. I don't know, maybe out in Missouri. I'm not sure.
I've got mullein right outside my door. I plant.
Yeah. And so for all this time that we've been walking around with these weeds that we have out here, and listen, and my mom them's guilty of it too. She'll go around with her weed killer, and I'm like, don't do that, Mom. That is jewelweed. That is this. That is. I'm like, no, this is this. So I'm teaching them. I'm teaching my parents what these herbs are. And my daddy, now you get some ginseng or you go barking, then I know what that is. That's when they went leathering. They leathered the trees. So my dad's dad, that's how he made money. He went ginsenging, he went rooting, because there's a lot of different roots here, and then moonshining. So, but there's a lot of lost knowledge that is coming back and changes, and that's what we need, because what we have here, we have a lack of resources as far as the jobs, but we have abundance in the way that we live and grew up. So we need to use that and put it back into the communities, because as a whole, it's going to take true communities, not just where you live, but communities of people. That's what it's going to take to change this world.
And we agree 100%. We're all going to have to make sure that we're paying attention. But like I said, just smile at somebody every day and you're going to make their day.
Yeah,
so
that's right.
I would like to thank you so much for coming on. And please don't hang up when we say goodbye here.
Absolutely.
So, guys, make sure you join me every Monday night at 7 p.m. Central for the Paranormal Pride. And you can catch me on Things Network now, as well as Paranormal Pride pages, wherever you can find us. and also on the Bill of Rights Network and Born TV on Rumble. And join us here next Tuesday night when Ron, Carl, and I grill somebody else at 5 p.m. Central every Tuesday night. And where can they find us, Carl?
Right now we're live on the Temple of Phoenix Rising Entertainment Facebook page, Things Network's Facebook page, Bill of Rights Network, all the time that we're on Facebook, and especially, like Denise said, Born TV on Rumble. You can always find us over there. Everywhere you see us, your chats come in on the side. We're always watching and everything, reading them. So we want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. Stay tuned here in about an hour and 20 minutes. The Conservative View will be on the Bill of Rights Network and all the other channels there with Phoenix and myself talking about what's been going on. So everybody have a good evening, and we will see you next week here on Paranormal Nation Radio, Not So Normal. Have a good evening.
Good night.